Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt Roast here with Jessica Bun, and this is our Before on Apple TV Plus Season 1, Episode 4 reaction and review. There is one big takeaway I think we can collectively have coming out of this episode. They love mysteries. Okay, here's everything we've got going on now. We've got the water, we've got the snow, we've got the doll, we've got...
We've got the
We've
drawings.
got the pen.
Yeah, we got the pen. What happened to Lynn? Like, is this something she did to herself? Is this something that Eli did to her? What is going on with this show? I love it. I'm still very excited about this show. I mean, did this episode move as quickly as the first three? No, and that's okay. You know, we didn't get a ton of movement. We obviously didn't get much in the way of answers, but I feel more and more confident about my theory that Eli and Noah are the same person. And this episode really gave me more of that. It's making me feel like there's something going on here.
There's definitely something going on there. Like I still have my own crazy harebrained scheme going on in my head about what's going on here, but I see what you're talking about with the two of them being the same person. There is some interesting evidence of that. I will say that while I did enjoy this episode, I would have preferred they gave at least a little bit of something more. Like how I relate it is that it's great to have a lot of mystery. We love talking a lot about mysteries, you know, here at the channel. It's like a really good barbecue sauce. You want a lot of barbecue sauce. You want to slather it all over everything. But this episode, it basically threw you into a swimming pool. And okay, maybe not as gruesome of one as the one before, but they've thrown you into a swimming pool full of barbecue sauce, and you're just starting to drown in the barbecue sauce. And
that sounds like a dream for you. You love barbecue sauce. Anytime Matt can talk about barbecue sauce, he will hold your ear.
Listen, I do love barbecue, but even me, swimming in the barbecue sauce, I wonder, is there too much of a good thing here? I need a little bit of, not an answer, but I want to kind of understand a little bit more where certain things are moving.
I don't need answers yet. It's episode 4. You can keep me on this nice, slow journey. I am completely fine with it as long as we get to a satisfying end where it's not just Eli killed his wife. Like, I'm not here for that answer unless they really do it in an interesting way, because it's always the spouse, right? Yeah. So, I mean, that's an end that I think a lot of us think that it could be going in that direction. But if the journey to get there is good, then, you know, I'll accept that. But I feel like this show is showing us so much more at this point. There are so many different directions that this can go in. So, you know, I'm here for the slow ride. But before we get into this episode, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because we are going to be here after every episode talking about Before for the whole season, and you don't want to miss out on it. And by hitting that subscribe button, it also really helps out Matt and I here at the channel. We have a lot of other great stuff coming up. Yellowstone is going to be coming up this weekend. We're going to be covering that here. Silo's coming up in a couple of weeks over on Apple TV. You already have Apple TV. So this is another really great mystery show to jump into as well.
And you guys can support us further by joining our Patreon. We have a link in the description below for that. Right now, we are covering exclusively over there in video form the Penguin. And then moving forward, we have exclusive videos coming there of Landman, a new Paramount Plus show from Taylor Sheridan I'm really excited about. And then also Dune Prophecy as well. Thank you guys so much for supporting us there. It means the world, and it helps us to be able to make these videos for you.
Okay, so here's just kind of a few things that we learned in this episode. We learned that the photo of the farmhouse was one that Eli found in Lynn's office. So he doesn't really know where it came from. It has these initials BW on the back, but he doesn't really know how it ended up in Lynn's office, where she got it from, or what's going on. The same farmhouse that Noah has been drawing. And we also have learned that through all of Noah's past foster placements, there's no farmhouse that anybody has been able to sort of pinpoint, and there's no Dutch either. Eli also went to the church where Noah was left, and they had no real information for them either.
This feels at this point a little bit like a wild goose chase, but sometimes one of the possible answers is one that's not staring directly at you, but
Mhm.
maybe it's in the room with you. Because to me, the obvious, oh, Eli killed his wife. That's the one that's staring at you. And if they
Right.
do go in that direction, like you said, it will not be great. As a matter of fact, if they go in that direction, I will refuse to I will refuse to acknowledge it. I will say that the show is wrong with their solution. But no, here's what I'm kind of thinking right now is that they have given us evidence that, okay, Lynn was working on some sort of book before she died,
Right.
and she had drawings involving kids. And what do we know about Noah? He's a kid. And then last week, I sort of brought up this idea that, okay, well, maybe we're in a situation where Eli is dissociating from what actually happened to his wife and that she actually died at the swimming pool,
Mhm.
not the bathtub,
Mhm.
that Noah was there, and
Mhm.
that's why there's more of a connective tissue between Noah and then Eli. But in this episode, we learn more about the connective tissue in the form of like the farmhouse between Noah and Lynn. And so where I'm starting to piece things together here is, why was Noah at the pool with Lynn? Was this a mere coincidence where there was somebody else, some other killer who was there that did some bad thing that's causing Noah to dissociate himself and think that Eli did it? I think that on some level, Noah had to have been a subject of research or knowledge or something for Lynn with the book that she was working on. Because if you talk to kids, you talk to whoever you want to talk to if you're a serious writer and you want to try to get information, different points of view, different perspectives. I'm trying to think of a natural reason in an unnatural show why these characters would have any communication with each other.
Yeah, this is the thing is we learned, Eli came across this list that had, said something about these drawings, and he looks through these emails and sees that Len had been emailing Jackson about these pictures that she had been drawing, things she had been seeing in her dreams. She was
Yeah.
having a really hard time trying to find an end to the book that, is a children's book that's sort of dealing about death and grief and these, more sensitive topics. And she was having a really hard time with it. And when Eli finally sees this drawing, there is a little boy, a little girl holding hands that are in this sort of snowy forest. There's this like river that's all frosted over, and it's all this cold, lonely feeling. Are the little boy and little girl Lynn and Eli? Eli slash Noah. I think they're the same person. So it could be her pulling back to, when she was little and, knowing about her husband and when he was little and sort of bringing them together in this way, because she was saying that she was having a really hard time facing her own death and that she wasn't able to talk to Eli about it because he's a man of science and
Mhm.
doesn't want to talk about it. He just wants to find a way to fix the problem. He doesn't want to lose her. But on her side, she's like, yeah, and that's all great. And I really appreciate that, but you won't even hear me out on my fears of what I'm looking towards. If this stuff doesn't work out, I still need to be able to deal with what's coming up. And this was a way for her to get through her dreams, through her drawings, of her and little Eli together actually being able to discuss this stuff together. That's what I think it's going. That's where it is in my heart.
I think that's very sweet. And I know that this is a show that can be very dark, but I kind of like the idea that there is a purity at the center of it. And the crazy thing is that even if you and I have different theories on some things with the show right now, like I
Yep.
think what you're saying about Lynn sort of using these kids as potential avatars for herself and Noah, for herself and Eli, like that can still be true. I think there's a good chance that that is very well what was going on, and she might see Noah in this sense as somebody who, not a stand-in for Eli directly in my mind, but rather somebody who she can at least sort of look at and see something of Eli in, and that there is some sort of connection there. And she is kind of looked at him as sort of this representation of innocence and maybe something that Eli lost a long time ago. But the thing that I am struggling with the most as I'm trying to come up with crazy theories with this show is, okay, let's say that she died at the pool.
Yep.
Let's say that Eli was there. Let's say that Noah was there. Noah now thinks Eli's the bad man when he's not the bad man. who is the bad man then? Like, who actually would be responsible for doing away with the Lynn? Is it that Lynn found out some, I don't know, some sinister secret about somebody and they had to take her out? I mean, it's a theory, but we don't have any evidence of that at all.
She may have just been at the wrong place at the wrong time. Sometimes that happens, unfortunately, in
Mhm.
life. You're in the wrong place at the wrong time and something happens. And that may have just been it. And that's why there's this hopeless feeling from Eli and a hopeless feeling from Noah as well of what's been going on. If they were both at the pool when this happened, that there was just no way to be able to help her. And because there was no way to be able to help her, that's why Eli would then be having these visions that he's the one that killed her because he wasn't able to help.
Yeah, and I think he feels a sense of responsibility in that way, and he feels a lot of grief and a lot of suffering. And this show, if you think about it in some sort of like broad metaphysical sense, this is about, finding a way to channel your grief and
Yep.
channel your pain and get to the other side of it. And maybe the only way that the truth will be revealed to Noah and Eli is they're able to actually come together and fully talk about it and dig through sort of their shared memories of everything that happened. But in doing that, of course, that opens the door for even more suffering and even more pain and things that neither one of them may actually be able to handle.
Okay, so when that breath came out
Yeah.
of Noah and Eli at the end of this episode, it really cinched it for me that these two are the same person. Like, why is this happening? Like, and even just seeing the breath, or we know that Noah almost drowned from a cup of water in the
Yeah.
last episode. Like, it really does feel like there's some sort of supernatural element to the show. I don't think that there is. I do think that maybe they are seeing things, and because there is this disassociative thing going on here between Eli and maybe Noah as well, that they are seeing things, or they think things are happening that maybe aren't happening. But there's no way that these two are both sharing a breath like that and they're not connected as the same person to me. When I saw him, Noah, wrap up that little man that Eli saw at one point, that little doll in the sand up to his neck, and he looked at this doll and he was like, oh my goodness, it's me. It changed in his head where it looked exactly like him. He pulled it out of the sand, it wasn't. But Noah had it very delicately all wrapped up, like protected. He's holding it in his hands like this, protected. He's got it hidden under his bed, protected. That it's almost like he's protecting Eli. That even though he has said to Eli, it's you, you're the bad man, you're the person, that sort of stuff, that is, I think, in Eli's mind, that he's beating himself up. Oh man, like, I'm the bad person. I could have done something more. I didn't, and it's my fault now. That this is Noah, Eli as a child, sort of trying to protect himself and wrapping himself up in this shroud and hiding himself under the bed to be able to protect himself.
Well, I think that Noah, whether it's Noah slash Eli, Noah on his own, like however you want to describe Noah, I think he knows that Eli is capable of good, and that Eli, even if he is quote unquote the bad man, that's not all he is, because there is like this real protective instinct here when it comes to this character. There is this sense of, okay, I want to do whatever I can in order to make sure that Eli is okay, or
Mhm.
that Eli is able to come back to me and talk about things. I think that they both know in their heart of hearts that they actually have to come together in the event that they want to ensure they get answers. It's just my big fear right now, and this is why I'll put on my hard hat for this,
Oh no.
is that we're going to be in a situation moving forward where the doctors are going to continue to try to separate them. Everybody is going to try to push them apart because Eli is going to come across as obsessed. Noah's going to come across as being really unhealthy. It's not going to be good if Eli's around this kid, and all these other people who think that they're helping, they're going to end up becoming the enemy in their own way.
Yeah, I think that that's easily could be working in that direction. And it's also really interesting. Anybody else like feel a little bit unsettled with that pen, where we had that whole situation where it seemed like Noah had taken the pen, but really it was the doll that he had taken. And then you've got Eli saving somebody's life. It's like, can you somebody hand me a pen?
Yeah.
And here's the pen. They are the same person. It feels very much like they are. Even I started to try to like look around at the hospital and does it feel like it might be a bit of a different era? I watch too much This Is Us that now I'm kind of like, I'm looking for the signs where like, could it be a different era at that time? And there's a few things where it feels like when we saw Noah in the hospital that it felt like it was not current. I just wasn't sure.
Well, the thing that drives me the most insane with this show is trying to figure out perspective. Whose point of view is X, Y, or Z story being told from? Like, for example, Noah, in his individual scenes, are we seeing what Noah is actually doing, or are we seeing what Eli thinks that Noah is actually doing? And this is just all a projection of Eli, because then that could explain whether it is the real younger version of him or whether it's what he thinks the younger version of him would be doing. That sort of adds to a lot of this chaos, because you can easily say, oh, it's just a coincidence that this pen was around at both of these stories, but clearly it's not. Like, clearly there is either a literal or some sort of cosmic coincidental connection between the two of them, and something out there, whether it is the universe, whether it is Lynn's spirit, which may or may not be in a lizard, there's something that is telling the two of them that they have to come together.
Let's talk about this lizard.
Okay.
Like, it's good that you brought that up because
Yeah.
there is enough strangeness going on with
Yeah.
the frozen water and the water dripping and the pool and the eel coming around people's necks, all this stuff that for me, I didn't need to have Eli's granddaughter come in and be like, oh, grandma's inside this lizard and she's telling me things. There's enough strangeness going on that this granddaughter doesn't need to be there doing that. And it might just be, or this is what I think it is. I think it's just that the granddaughter is trying to deal with her own grief because this show is definitely a thriller and there is a mystery to it, but there is a lot of grief in it. And a lot of thrillers do have grief in it because it's typically about someone who has died.
Yes. No, it accentuates like the biggest reason I'm feeling not iffy, but the biggest thing I'm worried about through the next part of the show. And hopefully they will ease my concerns moving into episodes, 5, 6, the rest of this season, is just that they have so many symbols, so many clues, so many different things that they're trying to bridge together. And, the lizard, like, that's probably a one-off. That is probably just a red herring that's all about, the granddaughter's grief and all of that. And that's really understandable. But you are really putting yourself in a spot where it's going to be difficult to thread the needle on all these different things and see where they're all connected.
Especially with that last shot of the drawing where we have Lynn's drawing of these two kids in the woods with the frozen river. But then you have all these swirls around it that look like maybe like gusts of wind, to make it feel cold. But then you match it up with Noah's drawing of this woman that either looks like she's either drowning. It could be her swimming. It could be her hair around her. It's hard to know at this point because all we have is what we've seen in the drawing. Everybody's interpreting it in different ways, but it kind of matches up with what looks like these wind gusts of Lynn's drawing as well.
This is why
Are Lynn and Noah the same person? No, I'm just kidding. That's not where it's going.
You say that, but I'm not there. There have been times
Nah.
I have kind of
Bruh.
I have thought it's just odd that Noah. Okay, here's the real thing. Either this is a situation where Eli and Noah are the same person, or this is a situation where Lynn and Noah have spent time together at some point, and nobody among these other characters is aware of this, whether it's for research or whether there's something about Lynn's past that Eli does not know. It just feels there's some sort of connection that's playing out here, and I don't think it's purely supernatural. I think that there is something that is left unexplained, and it just sort of feels, watching this show right now, that we're all kind of watching this TV version of a Rorschach test where we're presented all these ink blots and they're like, okay, do you see a dog? Do you see a house? And I'm sitting here being like, I don't really know what I'm seeing right now. I feel like it's a dog and a house and there's another house over there. there's so much being thrown at us, and I think a lot of it is fascinating and well put together, and I think the performances are really good, and because of that foundation, I'm willing to sort of accept the prolonged mystery. I would just like a little bit of momentum picking up here and there.
I am fine with the pacing. I mean,
Mhm.
it's because we're only in episode 4. There's going to be some episodes that are just giving us little bits of information that I think this episode, while it gave us a lot of dead ends, like, oh, we went
Yeah.
to the church and we learned nothing, and oh, there's no Dutch and farmhouse from any of the other foster parents. Okay. But then they have given us again this like recording of Noah and Eli's voices being the same. Like there is something here with this. I'm still very excited about this show, and it
Yeah.
still really bums me out how little press the show is getting and how long it's taking people to be able to find it to come on this journey with us. Because so far, this show has been really exciting.
Yeah, and this is this frustrating kind of microcosm of Apple in general, where, I'll say it, this is one of my favorite streaming services out there right now. I think they put out consistently a lot of really good, really interesting shows. And yeah, not all of them work. Like, that's pretty clear, but they're willing to take these chances. And it just feels like they've poured all this into Disclaimer. I mean, I know they're going to be pouring a little bit into Silo, which
Mhm.
we're covering, pretty soon. And that Silo we're very excited about. But at the same time, you have a show like Before that is interesting and thought provoking and has, a big name where Billy Crystal's been this treasure in Hollywood for such a long time. And it's frustrating that not a lot of people even seem to know that this show exists, let
No.
alone what it's about, let alone how to watch it. And Apple they need to figure out a way to actually get more people on their service. And I don't know what the answer to that is.
No, they think it's Disclaimer. And, I haven't seen Disclaimer, so maybe it is the next big winner and they're, really excited about it. Obviously, they're just pouring all their promotion into this one show when they have so many great properties that they could spread the love a little bit to get people to stay on their service longer.
Yeah, especially right now because you have another big hit coming in
Yep.
Silo. You have the buildup that's coming to Severance, and what
Yes.
you have Shrinking on right now, which is another popular
Yep.
show with an icon and Harrison Ford. It's just like, why not leverage this stuff, guys? I mean, yeah, there's a couple of things I'm kind of trying to work through from this episode. I'm not going to say it's the weakest one so far, but it's the one that left me begging them for more. But
That is a good thing.
that is the
I
thing.
think that's a
It
good
is a
thing.
good thing. I'm not at the point where I'm just like, come on, guys, just give us something. I'm still at the point where I'm like, come on, guys, give us something. Like, it is even more excited because I love shows that thread together all these different mysteries and they make me want to be greedy as a viewer. And that's fine. Give me all the barbecue sauce. Just don't dump me in it to the point where I can't swim out.
Why you lying? You love the barbecue sauce. Dump all the barbecue
Okay.
sauce on that.
Listen, I got some that's like a spicy hot honey right now. It is something else. I'm just like Ted Lasso with the barbecue sauce. Okay, well, that is what we got here on Before season 1, episode 4. So be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any more coverage here or everything else we've talked about. And you can support us further by joining our Patreon for exclusive video content all about the Penguin.
Yep.
Thank you guys so much for your support there. It means the world, and we'll see you here next time.